Hey, good morning to you. It's Friday in Birmingham, Alabama. Good morning to you. It's Friday. It is the 12th of August. I am ready for my income tax, man. And where's my stimulus money, too? Hmm, yeah. Anyway, hey, appreciate you stopping in and listening to Eyes on Smash Bros. Radio. Smash Bros. Radio is the only digital radio station located in Jefferson County, Birmingham, Alabama. Right. We focus on independent artists. We promote independent artists. We give the independent artists a stage, a platform, an avenue, a boulevard to showcase themselves and their craft. Hey, follow us on Instagram, follow us on Facebook, and definitely follow us on YouTube. We're here for you. If you have to, if you want to have an interview, contact our offices. You can set up a interview to come on, and you might can also be part of the verses that we have coming up. We have a battle per se coming up, so check us out. Smash Bros Radio Digital, which means that you can hear us anywhere you want to hear us. Also, please go to the App Store, download our app, which is for Android as well as iPhone. We appreciate you. We appreciate you tremendously. So check us out. You will like us. I promise you. Got a lot going on. I was talking to some former students yesterday, and excuse me, uh, came up with an establishment that is located on Bessemer Road, Bessemer Superhighway, and most of the complaints had to do with the outrageous prices. One individual paid over 40 something dollars, close to $50 for two meals, and only got one pork chop. And I know, yeah, I know that prices are high, but let's be ridiculous. Let's be serious. Uh, an individual was charged $3 for a boiled egg, and so and then coupled with that, had a nasty attitude. The server had a nasty attitude. The cashier had a nasty attitude. The establishment had a nasty attitude, and I was thinking, well, damn, you have nasty food, nasty prices, nasty attitudes. What else is nasty? Well, I went on Jefferson County Health Department, and I looked up the health score, and I be dog, they had an 87 at one time. That was back in, I think, in 2021. May have been earlier than that. But anyway, you had an 87. What is your score now? So which brought up the point, do we when we go into the establishments to eat, are we conscientious enough to ask, what is your health score? Because even though an 87 is still passing per se, uh, it ain't up in the 90s. And what is the purpose of health scores? And so it just started coming up with a lot of ideas and a lot of information. So there are certain guidelines, certain standards, federal as well as state guidelines, when it comes to proper handling of foods, proper cleaning of the equipment. There are just certain guidelines and standards and regulations that an establishment has to follow. I noticed when over at the Planet Fitness in Roebuck, it has 100, and that says that it has maintained the proper procedures as in regards to cleaning its establishment. Now, again, 87 is still a passing score, but it's not in the 90s, and so it behooves us, and we should be more conscientious, especially now when it comes to, well, how are you cleaning and what are the proper procedures that you're following, and are you following the proper procedures when it comes to the temperature of the meat, when it comes to the handling of the meat, when it comes to the prepping the food? Uh, what about the utensil? Uh, so brings into a whole different picture because we take it for granted that we're going into an establishment that maintains high quality as in regards to health, as in regards to food prep. And that is not necessarily so. And you cannot look at an establishment from the outside and think that everything is okay. There is, or there was, uh, a little shack up in Tuscaloosa, right down the road from the University of Alabama. And when you see the shack, you wouldn't like, oh my God. But once you are in the establishment and you look on the door, there they have a score of 100. And that says a lot, especially when you are prepping, when you are handling, when you are dealing with the public as in regards to food function as well as food services. So you, the idea of you can't judge a book by its cover, it actually is prevalent because this little place, it looks kind of shanty and run down. But once you are inside, the food is, oh shoot, the food is fantastic. Again, they score 100, which means that, and 100 from what I gathered from other entrepreneurs that I've talked to, 100 can be done. It can be done. It's not hard to do per se, but when you list and when you look at the list of what needs to be done to have 100, that says a lot about the individuals who own it or manages the place because that means that they have a high concern, a high quality when it comes to their food preparation, when it comes to their cleaning standards and all. So again, we have, especially in these days, we have to be extremely conscientious of where we go and who is prepping our food. There's a reason why there is a uniformity when it comes to the rules and regulations, uh, because there, especially when you're dealing with fish, when you're dealing with beef, when you're dealing with poultry, some you have cross uh, what is the word cross you can't cross beef with chicken or something like that. You can't do it. It's a health hazard. Uh, Contamination, cross contamination, because there's a certain way that you're supposed to prep the beef. There's a certain way you're supposed to prep the chicken, and so when you're not to put certain meats together or in the same tray. So, which brings up to the bigger picture too, that there has to be some type of regulation from the federal government mandated for the state government so that way there's a uniformity that if you were to leave Alabama and go to Mississippi or you go up to New York or you go to California or Colorado or so forth, that those same standards and quality are in line with the federal mandates. So there's a certain type of uniformity that must be handled federal, so that way everyone will get the same standard or stellar performance as in regards to the food prep, as in regards to the cleaning of the equipment. And there have been several restaurant shows uh, that that have been on, and to see and to view um, the contamination, to see that certain rules were not being followed, should serve as a flag. Because if these individuals have put their business out in public, what about those individuals who have not? So uh, it behooves us. It is most important uh, that we pay attention, and we shouldn't be shy to find out what is your health score. So that way, you are conscientious and you know that the individual, the establishment is maintaining the quality that it is supposed to. There are certain illnesses that can be transferred because of not properly handling the food process or the food prep. Uh, you'd be mind blown, especially with the cleaning. Uh, that's one reason why the health department says that you're not supposed to wash the chicken because once you wash the chicken, the juices from the chicken contaminates the surfaces. But those of us who were raised in the South or raised by older people, we know that first and foremost, that before we do anything, we wash down in Clorox, and we wash everything down in Clorox, and along with suds, and we make sure that the sink is cleaned and the surfaces around the sink is cleaned with Clorox. And then once we wash the chicken, and we do not wash, we do not wash the chicken in Clorox. We do not. We put it underneath the water and we basically rub and just clean it inside and out, especially in the cavity. And so, and once we have cleaned and deboned or whatever we're going at, how we prep the chicken, once the chicken is prepped, then we go back and again we use Clorox along with suds, and we clean the sink and around the surrounding areas. So then that way we know that the area is clean. So I can understand why the health department will tell you, or some professional cook would tell you. But those of us who were trained by the old people, trained by the individual, we know exactly how to clean. Clorox will beat anything. And Clorox, and sometimes back in the day, you would have Clorox and pneumonia mixed together, which we know that we don't do these days because it knocked the hell out of you. But back in the day, that's what the elders would clean with pneumonia as well as Clorox. And so we knew about washing the baseboards. We knew about washing the walls and the molding and stuff. We know about this. So it is relevant when it comes to maintaining a restaurant or maintaining an establishment that deals with food. There are certain the water when you wash the dishes or when you wash the pots, the temperature of the water has to be at a certain temperature. It has to be making sure that it's sterilized. So there are certain guidelines that have to be followed. So it's not that the federal government or the state government or really the federal government is trying to dictate what you're supposed to do. The federal government has the responsibility to making sure that the citizenry, the constituents, the citizens of the United States or the states are maintained properly. And so there has to be some type of uniformity when it comes to federal laws. Because we have seen in past history and past examples where certain states were not diligent in maintaining certain things. We know that certain corporations and companies have not maintained a certain level of responsibility when it comes to uh, uh, polluting the river. So there has to be some type of relevancy, some type of guideline that all of us are to follow. So that's why it is extremely important that we look at the scores. And so shout out to those individuals, those establishments that know the importance of customer service, know the importance of maintaining the proper guidelines, especially when it comes to health. Uh, we are we're in a questionable era of life right now because what is it? You have COVID that's still out there. Now you have the monkeypox. I read last night where polio has made an appearance over in Atlanta. Polio. And then there is another virus over in China that has appeared. So it is extremely, extremely paramount that we are conscientious when it comes to dealing with certain things and going to certain places, because we have to be responsible for ourselves as well as for those individuals in which we come in contact with. We have to. So, but then the conspiracy theorist comes up and start asking questions. Why now? What? Why now? Because we got through COVID, if you wish to say that. We're better off than what we were in the beginning. Cough, cough. Then all of a sudden you have monkeypox. No, why do we all of a sudden have monkeypox? So is there something that you're trying to hide, or you're trying to divert from a major issue? And then you have another illness over in China that is pretty much going through the population, and now you have polio over in Atlanta. So why now? And so that's why it is most important now that since we are getting more out there and we're coming up with some type of normalcy to where we're going out more, we still have to be conscientious. We have to be aware of the establishment that we visit, that we patronize, because there's so much going on. And especially to you parents, I can hats off, shout out to all of you parents. I cannot even imagine the stress that you are under, especially when it comes to maintaining your household and maintaining your family, especially if you have youngsters. So shout out to you. Hats off to you. Much love, respect, admiration to you. Uh, because I know it's hard. And I know there's a lot on you. So that's why it is most important that we maintain uh, awareness of when we go to certain establishments. If you would like more information on the guidelines, if you would like more information on the scores, and see, that's another thing that we can do as due diligence. We can go to Jefferson County Health Department, and if there's establishment that we're about to visit, we can go to their website, Jefferson County Health Department website, and we can look up the health score that establishment has, and that would give us an idea. Now, again, 87 is passing. It is passing. It is better than a 60 or 70. I grant you that, but it's an 87. So there has to have been something that was not fulfilled or followed, and it could be something minute, but that just because it's so minute, so small, so petite, it could have a powerful effect when it comes to our bodies, when it comes to us. So it is most important that we are aware. So again, you can go to Jefferson County Health Department website. You can look up the guidelines for the health scores. You can look up the items in which are covered on the sheet that the health department officials go by, as well as finding the health score for those different establishments, especially if you're going to visit them that week or this weekend. So we've got to be on our P's and Q's, because you never know. You never know. So, health scores, 87. Nasty attitude, nasty food, nasty prices. And then you got let's be conservative. Not really a nasty score, but ain't a very good score either. So it's something else. But also, I just remembered when I was over at the True Value. I think that's the name of the store that's in Trust. Uh, Let me see if I can find it quickly. Fresh Value of Trustful. Let me tell you, I appreciate. I have an abundance of respect for the manager. Uh, she is well prepped because of the way that she handled an issue or situation. And so I like to do a shout out to her uh, because I think that she is wonderful. I am very impressed with Trustful that because of the lady herself. She's just fantastic. I did learn a lesson. I thought that I don't know what I thought, but I thought that the meat manager was the manager of the meat, and he is, but he is not the manager of the store. The manager of the store has the say of the entire store, which is logical. It's common sense. So I want to publicly say that I meant her no disrespect uh, when I asked for the meat manager, because it wasn't that I was surprised that she was the manager. I was just surprised that of her not being the because I had a misunderstanding of who controlled. So I have a better understanding. But shout out to the manager. Please make sure that if you are in Trustful, that you stop by and you start patronizing the store. It's called Fresh Value. She is fantastic. Uh, she has the expertise in knowing how to handle issues and circumstances. Because after sitting back and thinking, I would, I didn't think that I was acting like a Ken, because when I asked, because I didn't know who she was first, and that's when I learned that she was the manager because I asked for the meat manager, and but I wanted to publicly apologize to her for any miscommunication or misunderstanding on my part, because I meant her no disrespect, because I don't know what I was thinking. With her being the manager of the store, she's the manager of the entire store. The meat manager, the produce manager, so forth, they have to come to her. And so I appreciate her tremendously. I find, oh, and I will patronize them from now on because they have uh, fantastic sell. Uh, the cashiers are professional and courteous. The store is clean. Uh, but I appreciate her tremendously. So I don't know her name, but if you know the manager over at what I keep on forgetting the store, Fresh Value, Fresh Value. If you know the manager over at Fresh Value and Trustful, let her know that I appreciate and have an abundance of respect for her, because I know with her working in Trustful and dealing with white folks in Trustful, I know that she has her hands full. But she in the whoever owns the corporation or the company that owns Fresh Value, uh, shout out to you, because you have a fantastic store manager that knows her job. She knows her job well, and I appreciate her tremendously. So, shout out to the store manager over at Fresh Value in Trust. So, get that out of the way. Now, out. I have been, I don't know, fortunate or unfortunate, but I have, being a teacher, you learn a lot of stuff. And one thing that I learned with being a teacher is that, first of all, you don't play with God. So, because of me being the mischievous child that I was with my parents and grandparents and the elders of the family, I never thought that I was going to be paid back for my antics because I wasn't going to have any children. Well, guess who got the last laugh? Uh, I became a teacher. So instead of me not having my own children, I had an abundance of other people's children. And dealing with those other children who eventually became my children, my former students, my kids, I had to deal with certain situations and circumstances. So you would like for your children not to partake in sex. You would like for them to be more responsible per se. But of course, we know that responsibility is a loose word here. So uh, I have been in situations to where uh, I've learned that because of not being more cautious and careful, that a blessing is created. And in that blessing being created, there is a uniformity, there is an agreement between both parties, both mama and daddy. And we would hope that that agreement will proceed all the way in that child's life, that blessing's life. But as in reality, it's not always necessary so. There are other elements, other additions to the equation that come up that changes an individual's opinion, an individual's attitude, an individual's handling of the situation. Uh, it is most important that once it is learned that a child is being born, that someone is with child, it is most important that the entire family meet and decide on exactly what's what. Now, is that irrational? Is that unreasonable? No, not in the bigger picture. It should not be. The first step, as I have always told my boys, if the girl was not a virgin, you don't know if that child is yours or not. And it has nothing to do with trust. It really doesn't. It has nothing to do with trust. It has to do with responsibility. You have to know if that child is yours. Now, from what I understand, a DNA test can be performed while a mother is still with child, or you could have a DNA performed after the child is born. That is the most rational, common sense way of finding out instead of going 2 or 3 years and you have developed extremely strong emotional attachment to this child to find out that for whatever reason the child isn't yours, and it's devastating and it's extremely hurtful. Whereas if you had a DNA performed, the tragedy would not have occurred. Now, in high school, you know who the bad girls are, you know who the bad boys are. You know those individuals who go to clubs. Most of the time, you know their personalities, you know their characteristics, you know their reputation. So, common sense would tell us that if there's an individual, if there's an individual male out there that has numerous and I hate the word baby mamas because I think that that's really disrespectful. But if you have a individual that has numerous mothers of his children, well then that's and he doesn't take care of them. That should pretty much give you an idea of what type of individual you are going to be dealing with. Because what sets you apart? I mean, if he's not taking care of his other children, what would make you think that he would take care of your child? And the same lies that he told you could have been the same lies he told the girls before you. Same way when it comes to the girl. If a girl has more than one father of her children, that should dictate. That's why it's extremely important that you have some type of documentation, that you have some type of paper. Now, early in the development, there is an agreement that, well, I'm not going to put you on child support, so you're just going to do this and do that. No. You should always have everything written down. You should always have it legalized. You should always have it understood that it's court based, that this is how much I'm going to pay, and I'm going to have this type of visitation with my children. So that way, because everybody starts out in this little Mary Poppins type mentality, and then all of a sudden you have another individual to pop into the picture, and then here comes all hell out of hell breaking loose. And now you're not going to have my baby around her, or why you have my children around him. So all that Mary Poppins, roses are red, violets are blue. You're going to continue, and I'm going to fuck you. You got to be careful. That's why it's extremely important that you have the proper documentation as well as paperwork when it comes to the mother of your children and the father of your children. Because I have been in situations to where I've seen and I've witnessed an attitude changed from a parent because of another individual coming into the picture, and that parent using those children as pawns. And the father gets so upset and he says things that he does not mean, but he's hurt, and does not excuse what he said. And I'm not giving him any free card. He's hurt because he has so much love for his children. He's always had accessibility to his children, and now all of a sudden the accessibility, the open gate is no longer open, the door is no longer open, and it's been closed. So that's why it's extremely important. Girls, first of all, you need to make sure you have the social security number of the boys. Boys, you need to make sure that you have all pertinent information when it comes to the girls. If you're given, especially, you need to write down if there's an agreement between you and the mother of your child without having gone to court. You need to make sure that you have proper documentation showing when, where, how, what you've done, how much you've given. And you need to make sure that you keep an accurate calendar of the events and when you've had the child. So just in case there's a miscommunication or misunderstanding, you have proper documentation showing to the judge or showing to the lawyer, showing to whomever, well, this is my documentation. You have to keep your receipts. And you have to understand that buying a box of Pampers is not taking care of the child. That is not taking care of a child. There's much more involved when it comes to maintaining and keeping and raising a child. Box of Pampers is not going to do it. Buying milk is not going to do it. And if you're on child support for $40 a month, that is preposterous. And if that's all you're giving is $40 a month, you need your ass whooped because it takes more than $40 to take care of a child. And then if that mother of your child tells you that, well, I don't want child support, She can't tell you that. That's not her damn money. That's her child's money. That's your child's money. She can't tell you. Well, she can, but she doesn't want. It's not. That's a child's money. Now, if she doesn't want support, right? Put it in writing and all, and you still give the money and make sure the money is put into an account for college. But for a mother to say that, well, I don't want child support, that's not your money. That's your child's money. And whether or not you use it for your child or not, it should go into the bank. And if you're receiving child support and then you buying all these huge these groceries and all for this first year birthday, you buying for the first birthday you got 2 cakes, you're buying all this liquor, you're buying all this barbecue. You're wrong. You're irresponsible. No child is going to remember no goddamn first birthday. And most of the time anyway, it's the folks that don't even give a happy goddamn about you that's coming over eating all your damn food and drinking all your damn liquor. And you're neglecting your child. But the child support is not the mother's money. That is the child's money. And fathers, you need to make sure that you have some type of documentation, and you should be giving that mother of your child more than damn $40 a month. And I don't want to hear anything about, well, I have bills. I don't care about your damn bills. You should have thought about your damn bills when you lay down. So $120 a month, I don't think is preposterous. I still think that that's relatively cheap, but it's better than 40. And then when it comes to school supplies, you know that your child is going to need certain school supplies. You should not wait to get the school supplies. Your child should have school supplies way before school starts. March or April, you should be buying supplies. By May, that child should have all the supplies as well as uniform that is required, mandated by the school board. So that way, by the first day of school, that child will be well prepared and it also be well ready for school. But you have to have proper documentation. There should be a DNA performed as soon as a child is born to find out exactly who is that child's daddy. Because once you, from what I understand, once you put your name on that birth certificate, you fucked. And if you have a child and that child is blessed to have a father who has always been an active participant, and you all of a sudden want to take away his responsibility or his right, well, then you're wrong. That's why if you are a father, there are lawyers out there that maintain father rights. One is Erica Scott Torbert. Erica Scott Torbert handles father's rights. There are other attorneys out there that handle father's rights, but you should be well represented once you go to court. You should not go to court by yourself. You should have a lawyer with you when you go to court. Same way, mamas, you should have an attorney with you when you go to court. Because whether you like that individual or not, you chose him, you chose her, you both know who you were dealing with. And you're going to have to deal with each other, and you have to deal with each other while you have that child. You have to be respectful. I don't want to hear it. It used to upset me tremendously when it came down to Father's Day. I saw women say, well, I'm the father. No, bitch, you're not the father because you have a pussy, you don't have a dick. You're not the father. And you don't get any special privileges just because you're doing what you're supposed to be doing for your child. You don't see no father saying that he's a mother. Now, you have Mother's Day. There's a Father's Day. You don't get any special privileges, nor do you get any type of prizes for doing what you're supposed to be doing for your child. And it should be understood that once you get pregnant, that there is a possibility that you're going to have to take care of your child by yourself. It's been done through the years. The only difference from what I understand these days, back then you had a village to take care, to help with your child. And I know it's hard, especially in these days. I know that it's hard. But if you have a father, if you have a daddy that wants to take care and that has taken care of his child, that has always been responsible, has always been visible, has always been approachable, then you need to leave that father alone. As long as he's doing what he's supposed to be doing, then you should be happy. And if you feel that he betrayed you because he lied to you and told you that, well, and you were the fool to lay down with him. You knew he was a hoe. You knew he had other women pregnant. You knew he had multiple children. And yet you lay down with him and had another one. That's your fault. It's not the baby's fault. It's your fault. Co-parenting can be done. It has been done. It's being done. It's an understanding. We have some type of miscommunication. We have some type of disagreement. But both of us love this child. We have a responsibility to this child. Now, we're going to speak and be polite to each other when it comes to the issues of this child. A mother should be conscientious of the men that she brings around her children, especially if she has girls. Every man that you date should not come into your house. Every man that you have should not be living with you. There have been numerous occasions to where boyfriends have been left with the children, and he either has killed, he child abused the child. He beat the child, or he killed the child. Everybody should not have accessibility to your children. Same way when it comes to the daddy. Now, if by chance you have a boyfriend or a girlfriend that loves that child as if that child was there, well, then you should be happy. If you have another father figure, if you have and she cannot take your place, he cannot take your place as a father, she cannot take your place as a mother, they have a mutual agreement, a mutual love for your child. And you should be fortunate and blessed and happy that you have an additional individual in their lives that's going to build them up, give them positive reinforcements. There shouldn't be any petty jealousy. I've known couples that have divorced, and the stepmother is is friends with the wife more than the husband is. The wives get along wonderfully. The fathers get along wonderfully because they concentrate on the most valued. And that's the children. That's the child. You cannot tell an adult what to do. Cannot. You cannot. You cannot tell an adult what to do. All you can do is suggest and make recommendations and leave it alone. If they do it, they do it. They don't, they don't. Then you do what you have to do for your child. But for you to say adamantly, I don't want any child support from him, that's not your money. That's your child's money. That's not your money. That's your child's money. We need to get off of these pedestals. We need to put down these attitudes. We need to focus on what we need to focus on, making sure that child has all the necessities, have all the everything that that child needs. That child is receiving love, attention, security, understanding, a firm foundation, knowing the rights, the wrongs, the do's, the don'ts. Can be done. It can be done. All you have to do is put yourself behind and let your child shine like your child needs to shine. Your child has both of his parents in them. And you'll be surprised that that child is going to be the best of both of you, the better of both of you. So when you see your child, you see the best, you see the better of you before you were tarnished and before your innocence was taken from you. Because you cannot teach a child respect and love and admiration if you do not have those characteristics, those attributes in you. You cannot teach a child anything that you do not have in yourself. And I've seen children that are the most promising, the most well-rounded, because the parents had the child has a certain charisma about them because it comes from the parents. Now I have faith and I have belief, I have admiration, and I have respect that at the end of the day, you will always do what's best for your child. You will always have your child's best interest at heart, no matter what. So if you have an individual that has always been there or has finally stepped up to the plate and has shown, not said, I can say everything I want to, but my actions prove whatever. Will you give that individual a chance? Because you're going to make it better for you and your child. And again, the child is the most vocal, the most visible part that you be concentrating on. What is best for my child? You do not talk against the daddy. You do not talk against the mama. You make no negative characteristic or comment when it comes to the other parent. That child should not know how much you hate the other part. That child should not know that. But you're going to do all right. You're going to be all right. You're going to be all right. You have sustained, you have this wonderful child that is entering kindergarten, entering middle school and high school. And again, I told everybody yesterday, if you have not asked for forgiveness from your parents because of the miscommunications, mishandling or whatever, I think you need to ask your parents for forgiveness because payback is here. Karma has come to stay. Every time I went home, every time I went to my grandmama's house when I first started teaching, the first time I asked her, I said, I apologize for anything that I've done. I said, was I a bad child? She said, no. I said, she said, you were just a mischievous child. I said, well, do you forgive me? She said, Louis, I forgave you a long time ago. I said, well, would you tell God that you forgave me? Because he's whipping my behind up there with them kids. She started laughing. We want the best for our children, but at the same time, we need to teach those children responsibility. We want those children to be better than us, but at the same time, we need to give them responsibility. Everything that we did not have, we should not have to give it to them freely. They have to earn that. You can give certain things, but when it comes down to it, that you're giving them everything that you didn't have, in the bigger picture and in the long run, you're doing them an injustice because they're not going to appreciate it, and they're going to think that the world owes them that. The world does not owe us anything. It does not owe us anything. But I appreciate y'all stopping in. I appreciate y'all, period. Please, if you have not done so, go to Smash Bros Radio. Like, share on our Facebook page. Like, share, and follow on our Instagram page. Like, share, and follow when it comes to our YouTube page. Please tell your tell your parents, tell your relatives, tell your friends. Ask them to do the same. Like, follow, share. Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. Also, when it comes to OZZz, I am on Instagram. I am on TikTok. I am on Facebook as OZZz, as well as the AMs with Hume. And I have a YouTube. I'm just coming up creating and establishing the YouTube page. But please have Twitter, YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, as well as TikTok. Like, follow, and share. I appreciate it. Also, if you are an independent artist, check Smash Bros Radio out. We have a platform for you. We are here to make sure that you shine to the possible, to the standard, to the level that you wish to rise to. We are here for you. Also, we have an app. Go to our app. Go to your app store. Look up Smash Bros Radio. Download our app. Very easy. Smash Bros Radio, again, is the only digital radio station in Jefferson County, which means that you can hear us anywhere. If you have a Facebook page, you can hear us. You can see us. If you get the app, you can follow us. We're here for you. You have a wonderful weekend. Take care of yourselves. Know your value. Know your worth. Know that you control everything about you. And most importantly, know that I love you more than I love my luggage. I'll see y'all Monday. Y'all take care. The live stream on the show. On the show. The live stream. On the show. The live stream. The live stream on the show.